Oh, gosh. We'll call this council meeting Monday, October the 9th to order, please. If you have a phone, would you mind silencing it so we can we can have your attention and we can have yours. We'll stand for Pledge of Allegiance and then the prayer with Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's bow. Dear Lord, thank you for this day that you've given us. A beautiful southern day in Fort Mill, South Carolina, with the weather reminding us of fall and the new season. But at the same time, across the country, across the world, turmoil and bloodshed is reigning in your world. Dear Lord, please be with those that are suffering and hurting. Please bring peace and justice to those that are in need. And dear Lord, please be with us as we conduct the business of the town to do the best of we can of our abilities. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
council members. You've been sent the minutes from the last council meeting on September 25th. Any corrections or additions?
I think I have one. Pardon, trying to find it. On page 2, and this is a nit, but it's Spratt is misspelled. Missing the T.
That too.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure it's correct. Other than that, I have no other changes, and I'll make a motion to submit with that correction.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We move on to public comment pursuant to section 2-46, the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Fort Mill. Any citizen in the town may appear before council for the purpose of providing public comment on any municipal matter except personnel matters. Those who wish to speak must sign in outside of the council chambers prior to the start of the meeting. Citizens will be given 3 minutes each to speak.
Simple, I think that signed up for the public hearing. Scott, were you wanting to just speak now?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, just
I think just Scott.
a minute.
Okay.
Just me? Hey everybody, Scott Coconauer, 122 West Oak Street, the beautiful neighborhood of Whiteville Park, 31-year resident now. So I'm just here, we own some property on 21 just north of Spratt and the Parkway. And for about 2 years, Penny for Progress has let us know they want to expand that. That's right where it's going to kick down from 5-lane to 2-lane. So they were going to take half of my parking lot with an 8-foot retaining wall. And it finally got to the 80% part drawing, and then they actually turn it over to right-of-way acquisition companies. And then they pitched it to me where they want 100% of the front of my parking lot. So that means no handicap parking, everything, so we'll basically be shut down there. So I've been trying to work with Patrick, figuring out a way how we could stop a little bit shorter than that. And I pulled up the plans, or DOT sent me the plans for the peach stand to the horse farm. It takes about 1,650 feet to go from the same type down to 2-lane. So I asked Patrick why, and I'm 1,800 feet from that stop sign, or stoplight. And it's 45 for 1,500 feet, and then it turns to 55. He was saying DOT requires at 55 you extend it out a little further. I called DOT. DOT says they're an advisor in the project. Penny's has final say-so in it. So I am asking for council, that part of 21, if there's a lot of foot traffic on there, a lot of bicycle traffic in my part, and then further up near Harris Street, there's a lot of children that walk that road going to Fort Mill High School or down to Harris Street Park. So I'm asking for council support that we address DOT to try to get that part of 21 changed to 45 for us. And that I may have a little bit of help with Patrick if we can narrow it down to 1,650 feet versus the 2,200 feet they're saying they need for that. So, but anyway, I'm just here to ask for council, bring it up, talk with Chris about it a little bit. So just the first process, and I will be at York County Council meeting next Monday night. I've been there for the last 3. the sewer line when they went to the back of the property. The guys doing the work was fine. I was happy with it back there. Got a little bit mistreated by the county's attorney office in my perspective of it, and the county engineering department. So York County Council has heard me for my 2 minutes for the last 3, and they're probably going to get 3 or 4 more of me from that standpoint. So, but yeah, so that's what I wanted to ask you for, and I appreciate y'all serving your time, and everything y'all do is awesome, stuff like that. So.
Scott, the distance of it being 55, can you give me a starting point and an ending point? Is it from
All right, so
Sutton
if you're
Road
coming
to
north
Harris?
if you're coming north,
Okay.
about 200 feet before you get to my property line,
Okay.
300 feet from that entrance, it
Okay.
turns to 55.
Okay.
And the same thing on the other side of the road, it goes to 45 there. And then from there, Harris Street, it's still 55 up to the peach stand, but there's 45 for school traffic.
Okay.
So I maybe wouldn't, I mean, I would almost suggest that we look at doing 45 from Spratt, Sutton, all the way to the peach stand, or even north of that a little bit. I'm not up on the other part of it that much anymore, so I don't know about that part of it. But I would even support 45 from, from the bridge all the way up past the hospital. So there is a section in there that's 55. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
from just
I
short of my
needed some starting
building, just
points,
short of
yeah.
my building,
Yeah, I did
north,
too.
but somewhere at Harris Street, it blinks 45. But I believe it's still 55 in that part,
Okay.
from everything I can tell. So, but there is,
When the school sign's on, then it's changed down to 40.
it's changed to 45 during the school time. But up there at Harris Street, there's a lot of children.
Okay.
A lot.
A lot. There's a lot of children within
From that
half
Forest
of.
Ridge, go down Harris
Yeah.
Street. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
for the school and for the Harris Street
Oh, yeah.
Park. So, I mean, there's a lot of children on that road, and
And no shoulder either.
and unfortunately, 55 sometimes means 72.
Yeah. You can
you
set
know,
it whatever, but
Yeah,
The most common.
Perfect.
yeah.
And then
yeah.
will you keep us abreast of the things that you have with York County and those discussions so that
Oh,
we
yeah.
can, whether you have a meeting?
Oh
with,
yeah, I'll have a
um,
meeting. I've got meetings scheduled.
With some, with some pennies people, so that we can help join forces as much as we can.
So once I saw that, the peach stand to the horse farm was splitting down, breaking down, it's basically the same interchange. And
so what will be the two questions? So what would be the impact on your properties? You're saying they're going to take most of your parking. So if it's 45, what would be the
Well, at
change
that-
on how it
at
impacts you?
that point, conversations with Patrick that runs Pennies, it sounds like we can maybe use the 1,650-foot rule, which I'm 1,800 feet from the stoplight. So it would not get to my property. So at Pennies 4 would not affect it at all. Now
But there'd
Pennies
still
5.
be 4 lanes in there. So you're saying you fit
No, it'll be
4.
two. It'll be two. It'll go from 4.
So you're talking about the existing penny,
Yeah.
not the new one.
Yeah, the
coming out.
Pennies 4 project.
Okay.
Now, if it is on Pennies 5,
Right.
and unfortunately, from my standpoint, 95% of that road expansion is coming towards me.
On your side.
On my side. There's a water line, the main water line for York County runs up there, and there's a little ditch that along that line. But I know that water line they do not want to mess with.
Yeah.
So 95% of that project, and there's a 5-foot bike on both sides and a 5-foot sidewalk on both sides. So it's kind of like 5 lanes,
Plus.
5 foot, 5 foot.
So second question is, at Harris Street, since you're key to this, that's the narrowest spot right there because you got a house almost, you got the apartments on one side right at Harris Street. So what is the solution they're proposing there?
That has not, my understanding, that has not been designed because that has not been funded through Pennies 4. That was presented through town council, which I spoke in favor of. So that would be a Pennies 5 project.
Right,
So-
I was just curious because
Yeah, so that sewer-
that's the narrowest spot in that whole section. So what is
There's
done
room on
there?
the other side of the road.
It's going to be tight.
Yeah, but there's,
I don't know. That's why I was curious.
Yeah, there's room on the other side of the road. The sewer, I happen to watch a council meeting. I'm the oddball that watches y'all.
Thank you.
I'm the
Watch another
oddball. But yeah, when York County Engineering did the sewer line through the neighborhood and down Harris Street, and because I think if they would have expanded, this is all my thinking, I had never really heard it from, but if they would have taken that sewer line that's on 21 now and moved it back for Pennies, they would have been in those properties that you're talking about, that would have affected that tremendously. So I think their design build process, to go down the creek, those houses and I think my property were major, reasons for them to go down the creek.
Well, they already had an easement through there. There's an existing sewer line back there.
No, they didn't. They had to buy. They bought right away from the town. They were right away from.
But there's already a sewer line runs back. There's a sewer line from the county runs there.
It's the town sewer line that runs in the back, not the county's. The county's runs in front of my building between 21 and my curb cut.
I thought the water line ran in front of your building, the sewer line
The
runs
water
behind
line's
it.
on the other side of the road.
Chris, I don't know, you might know, but, okay. Anyway, I was just curious.
Yeah, the
where they
water,
went.
because I paid $63,000 in 2007 to get water to my property. So the water line's on the other side, the sewer line, the 20-inch force that they're getting rid of is on my side of the road. But the water line is on the other side of the road.
Okay.
But the town does have sewer down both sides of the property and the back of mine, which they've been there forever and no problems along that line.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that's what I was here for, just ask for support to, if we can, for me, but then also for the pedestrian traffic and the bike traffic. I think that part being 45 would be a nice option for the town.
Thank you for bringing it to us.
Cool.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate you.
See y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good week.
Chris, these other ones, the other projects.
I believe those the other ones that signed up are for public hearings for the items. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Then we move on to presentation. Presentation number one, upcoming events. Our expert, Jacqueline Hester.
Good evening.
Hello.
I am here to present some details for our upcoming town events. Right now, this past Friday, we started our 9th annual Fort Mill Scarecrow Crawl. And that's going to be going on through the end of the month, the 31st. This week, our South Carolina Strawberry Queens will be voting on several categories for our scarecrows. And then we are going to be opening up to the public to vote on Town of Fort Mill Facebook page on Friday the 13th at 9 a.m. We will have an album posted on there. And we ask everybody just to go through the album and like their favorite scarecrows. And then winners for best sponsor, best town department, and best overall will be chosen by the public by that vote. And then we're asking our participants to remove the scarecrows by November the 2nd, and we're going to announce those scarecrow winners on October the 30th. So we just ask everybody just to come stroll around downtown Fort Mill and see 150 amazing scarecrows created by our community. And we're so excited because they really are truly amazing. I don't know if you've had time to get out there and see them, but they are excellent as always. And this is just a route map. We have them going down Tom Hall, Claiborne, not Confederate, but Academy Street, and then Railroad Avenue. We have them along North and South White, Millstone Park, and then in Walter Elijah. And we are promoting this QR code here on our town social media so everyone can download a route map, and then it is also on our town website. And I have to mention all of our wonderful sponsors. We have Pumpkin Level sponsors. They are our top sponsors this year, and I'm just going to read through them real quick because we appreciate their support. We have Helen Adams Realty, South Carolina Blue, Puckerbutt, Housemaster, The Wiser Choice, Value Waste Services, John Loveson, NAMI, Sylvan Learning Center, Palmetto Funeral Group, Mackey Realty, State Farm Insurance, Superior Masonry, 1% List Advantage, Bliss Real Estate, Class 101 College Planning, Allen Tate Realtors, Bossy Beulah's, Epic, Bayada, Burkett, and Burkett CPAs, Great Grappling, Carmel Contractors, and Bigfoot Forestry. And then we have our Apple Level sponsors, which is Altura, Athletico, American Fiberglass, Easy Vet, FM Eatery, Mac & Mac Attorneys, Providence Classical School, Palmetto Family Hearing, Advance America, Poppy Seed Kitchen, ESP, Ariel Joy, and Therapy Resource Group. And then we also started this past weekend. We have Weekends on Main. It was this past weekend, and then we'll have it again on October the 20th through the 22nd. And this we're just closing down Main Street from Fridays at 3 p.m. until Sundays at 11 p.m. just for everyone to come enjoy shopping and dining and visiting our 9th annual Fort Mill Scarecrow Crawl in downtown Fort Mill. So come and visit all of our downtown merchants while you are enjoying the crawl. And then we do have safety signage posted around town, reminding everyone to slow down. We want people to be slow and watch out for pedestrians all the time, but we just have a lot of extra pedestrian traffic right now with everything that's going on, and we just want to remind everyone to please drive slow and yield to pedestrians. And then it's hard to believe, but Christmas is right around the corner. We have the Fort Mill Christmas Village and lighting of the tree. It's going to be coming up on Thursday, November the 30th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Fort Mill Amphitheater in Waterloo Park. And we're going to begin accepting applications for vendors on Monday, October the 16th through Friday, November the 3rd. And you'll be able to pick those up at Town Hall or get them on our town website. And then the 76th Annual Fort Mill Christmas Parade is coming up on Saturday, December the 2nd at 11 a.m. And then also Monday, October the 16th. Those applications will be accepted through Friday, November the 10th. And again, you can get those at the Fort Mill Town Hall or on our town website. And then our big event coming up this month is the Fort Mill Fall Festival. We're going to have food, live music, games, vendors, costume contest on Saturday, October the 21st from 3 to 7 p.m. And that's going to be at the Fort Mill Amphitheater at Waterloo Park. We have a lot of food trucks to choose from: Vita de Pizza, Chancho's Tacos, King of Fire, That Wine Truck, Charlie B's Seafood, Salute Chew, S&K Funnel Cakes, Crave Food Truck, Jamrock Jerk Spot, Pelican Snowballs, Abbott's Frozen Custard, Gizmo's Grill, Say Cheese 518, Spoons Off the Hook, Good Habits Juicery, Peach Cobbler Factory, Smokin' Butts, Nikki's Designs, Hobbs Nuts, and Jay's Maze. And we are going to have beer and wine available at that event. And as always, bring cash and cards because not everyone accepts both. So kicking off our evening of music is going to be country artist Cody Webb, and he will be 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the amphitheater stage. And then from 4:30 to 5:30, we have Funky Junk Joy Peddlers. She's a top blues singer in the South, and she's going to be doing a mix of pop and blues. And then we're going to end the evening from 6 to 7 with country music artist, the Kyle Dills Band. We're going to have around 40 vendors, and we ask everyone just to visit them for special games and treats and giveaways. And our costume contest, the first one will be at 4 to 4:30, and that's going to be for Best Baby 0 to 2 years, Best Child 3 to 6 years, and 7 to 12 years. And then at 5:30 to 6, we're going to have the Best Teen categories from 13 to 7 years, and then the Best Adult 18 plus years. And we have several categories. Best Families, one of them, Funniest, those types of categories. Also, on Ardrey Street during the festival, we're going to have Touch a Truck. We have Town of Fort Mill vehicles, police, fire, public works, and utilities that will have vehicles out there just for everyone to see. We also have our mascots that will be attending. We're going to have Sparky, Drippy, and Barry, and some roving entertainment, including giant pumpkins and the Scarecrow Stilt Walker. And then other fun stuff, we have DJ Brown Sound that will be over in the food court doing music and games. We're going to have kids crafts, pumpkin decorating, inflatable archery, and axe throwing. And then our hay maze is going in on Monday, October the 16th, and that will be there through the 31st. And this is our site map for the event. We're going to have our food trucks and food court over on the right-hand side, and then all of our vendors will be on the left-hand side. And we're also going to be continuing to celebrate the town's 150th at this event. We'll have our historical photo displays. We're going to have some middle school and high school FM 150 art on display. So highlighting that at this event. And then, of course, kids' activities, just a lot of fun stuff going on. And we ask everyone, please bring chairs or blankets, no coolers, no outside food, no outside drinks or alcohol. We ask golf carts to park in the designated parking areas, no bicycles, no pets, only service animals, no smoking or vaping, no profanity, and no firearms or weapons. And then parking is available at Veterans Park at 106 North White Street, Calhoun Street Park at 203 Calhoun Street, Looms Way, and then we have handicapped parking behind the amphitheater. And we ask everyone not to park along any roadways around the park. And tonight we are seeking a resolution designating Water Elijah Park on Saturday, October the 21st from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. as the site of a public event in which alcoholic beverages may be sold, possessed, and consumed, and to authorize a special event permit for live music and sound amplifying equipment for this date from 3 to 7 p.m. at Water Elijah. And all the details for that are in your resolution. And as always, we ask everyone to follow Town of Fort Mill on social media to keep updated on information. Visit our town website, fortmillsc.gov, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Any questions?
I was overwhelmed. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of moving pieces. And if the Scarecrow Crawl gets any bigger, we're going to have to build some more streets. So we have to. I think it's great that coming over here. It's just amazing, the people out and about walking. And now we're extending. You know, we've been talking about trying to extend the downtown area, and this truly is a big part of that. So we have, I think it's all the way down to Humble Cup Coffee. I saw was far,
right.
and so it's and down Academy Street. So I think it's outstanding. So I just I keep going. How can you do more? And every year y'all do. So it's amazing. And my hat's off to you.
Yeah, I'll drive down at night. And
My team.
Who's walking around down here at night?
I think for 10th annual, we have to change it to Fort Mill Scarecrow Hike because that's
That's right.
When you go out there, you have to be intentional to see it all. I did have a question. How long is the farmer's market going to be going on? So it'll be at the same time, correct?
Yes, we have the farmer's market going on through the end of the month, 8:30 to 12:30. So please visit the farmer's market. There's a few more opportunities. We have 3 more Saturdays left.
Thank you.
Have to always give a special thanks to Public Works as well. I think it's just all the posts don't just get in by magic. You know, they are, especially the new locations now going that way towards Humble Cup. You had to locate the utilities, all the work that goes in that, and make those holes, and then go back and take them back up and put them away. So
Yes,
can't forget about that part.
Yeah, and this year we couldn't do the post down Tom Hall because of all the underground utilities. And I don't know if you noticed, but Public Works created pots with poles in it for us. So they are amazing. They're always so good to us. Whatever we ask, they are ready to help.
Maybe get that guy that's stuck in the hole down at the bottom of Main Street.
Yes.
That was one of the first ones that went up. I went, that's pretty good.
Just to add on what Mr. Wolf said about, you know, extending our downtown's not just right here. It goes all the way down. So having those scarecrows down there definitely is a step to showing the public that, hey, you know, our downtown's more than just right there. Going to the fall festival with the costumes and everything, the costume contest. If you haven't been to that, there's some amazing costumes and some good creativity that you'll see there. So that's one of my favorite things is the judging of that.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
Yeah,
and we'll have you
really
back as a
enjoy
judge
it.
if you want to.
Please, yes.
And then I noticed there was a social media post warning people that these are not to be vandalized. A lot of people have put a lot of time and effort and resources into it, so treat it as the artwork it is.
Yes, thank you so much for saying that, because we've actually put out signage about that as well, and social media posts, and just asking everyone not to touch or alter them, because they have worked so hard on them, put in so many hours, and we just want people to enjoy them for as long as possible.
Same thing with the maze too, of the kids and adults rearranging it to their own. I've seen that firsthand.
Well, I got lost.
So,
Jacana, on the Christmas, you touched on it slightly. When will that become before council for approval and review?
For the actual event,
Yes.
We'll present the tree lighting in November at the first meeting.
Okay.
And then the parade will be at that meeting as well.
So you're just teasing us tonight?
Right.
More to come?
Yeah, we have to start getting applications before,
Perfect.
before the actual presentation.
Okay, thank you. No, great job.
Well, thank y'all very much. We appreciate all the support.
Thank you, Takasha. Great job. Great job, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on. Old business item number 1, second reading. An ordinance amending the business license ordinance of the town of Fort Mill to update the class schedule as required by the Act 176 of 2020. Chris Pratt.
Thank you, members of council. No changes to this from first reading. Did have one call today on this item. It was just really asking for clarification of some of the items, but if you have any questions, happy to answer those.
So we've had no concerns significant from business owners? Awesome, thank you.
I make a motion to approve just second reading of old business item 1.
Second.
All those approved? Aye. All those opposed? Moving on. First, new business item number 1, first reading and public hearing, an ordinance annexing York County tax map numbers 731000011 and right-of-way areas described in quitclaim deed recorded in BK 20053, PK 351355, and BK 20472 and PG 2730 containing approximately 14.29 plus or minus acres, Ward 3, Ben Huggins. Penelope is our expert.
Do you want to go ahead and open public hearing?
Yeah.
Before I speak?
We'll open public hearing at this time. Anybody have any comments?
Do you want to sign up?
Hearing none, close comment. Public hearing.
Good evening. We were approached, there was some strip of land that was needed to be deeded back from the Springfield Parkway and Still Street old right-of-ways. And so it was deeded back to Clear Springs. So the town approached Clear Springs to be able to, since this strip of land is getting deeded back to Clear Springs, they need to be annexed into the MXU district. And so we went to the Planning Commission. They recommended approval for this annexation for 6-0. And this is basically to clear up emergency services issues so they know where they're responding, that in this strip of land that was no man's land is actually part of the town limits with this annexation, since it's been deeded to Clear Springs.
Because it was in the county.
Yes,
right?
that is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
So-
would make a lot of sense to bring in.
Yeah. So one of them is the abandoned roadway. I get that one. So is the other what was right away from before the parkway was put in, or when the
I
parkway
believe
was?
so.
So my
Yeah. And Ms.
Sorry,
Woods
yeah,
here.
okay.
Luke Woodrum Springs. So, and they're really just random slivers of land that were left over through different transactions. The town kind of came to us and said, hey, we've got this 911 issue. So we, went back, looked through some records, kind of measured the land, found it. And yes, we want to take it from the county to the town, and then we'll eventually transfer it over to Leroy Springs, and it'll become part of the Greenway. So it's surrounded by Greenway now, and it'll become a Greenway once it's
so
annexed.
well, the good for the because that was going to be my question. Was you've asking for a MXU, and Chris, you chime in whatever, but it was just I thought that was odd because MXU is usually associated with has restrictions on it, but I saw north and west. I think we're already in the county in MXU. Is that why we're?
It's just, ultimately it's being absorbed by the Leroy Springs MXU, that is the Greenway. So we made it a similar zone, or it's coming before you as a similar zoning to make that process of absorbing it into the Greenway easier.
And we're sure it's going to be part of the Greenway. I just when you put MXU on anything, it just my hairs on my back of my neck kind of pop up.
Yeah.
So like with all these MXUs, you know, they're tied to a development conditions
Right.
or a development agreement. So this area is tied to the Clear Springs.
So it already is an agreement in place, so we're tying to an existing agreement, is what you're
There
saying.
will be.
Yes,
At the
we're
later.
gonna, amend this to the agreement with the Greenway.
And with that said, even absent that, it's not developable property. It's remnant pieces from road construction. You couldn't build a tent on it if you wanted to. So it's not worth anything except absorbing it into the greenway.
So when you said 911 issues, what can we talk about that? Or
They're
what?
just jurisdictional issues. So if there was a traffic accident on this area here, the town of Fort Mill would not respond. It would actually be the county that would respond.
Okay.
Even though we're closer, we're quicker, et cetera. So, and on top of that, there's just the question. I think everybody kind of is a little hesitant when they have to disperse somebody to this location of, well, whose is it? And so ultimately what we're trying to do is clear up any confusion. It is very clear that this is the town of Fort Mill's jurisdiction, so
Okay.
that we would be the first responders on that.
So this is a donut hole that's been elongated.
Correct.
Pretty much.
And the reason I brought MXU, I
Sounds
just know they're
explained.
usually tied, so to me, this would be more, we created a new district for green space and parks or whatever it was, which what I would have thought this would have been
Yeah.
coded to that, but
And just, I guess to clarify, currently this is in Clear Springs, Springfield owns the blue.
right.
So Leroy Springs cannot amend it to their agreement until it's in their name, right? So Clear Springs decided to attempt to annex it, and then we'll transfer it over to them, and then they'll amend it to their agreement.
And I saw the quick claim deed, which is obviously calls the roadway and the title and all that type of stuff, so, okay. I just, the MXU thing was kind of confusing to me.
This is a little confusing. So.
Well, I'm glad it's not
We
just
spent some
me.
time on it. No.
Usually Pinnell, if he tells me it's
I'm
just
like,
me.
I know what I'm gonna
Yeah.
say, and then I'm like, oh, it's confusing, so.
Okay.
That makes sense.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of the annexation ordinance with a zoning designation of MXU.
And I'll second.
All those approved?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Thank you.
New business item number 2, first reading and public hearing and an ordinance annexing York County tax map numbers 73800000063 and a portion of 73800000062 containing approximately 5.25 acres located in the intersection of Fort Mill Parkway and Holbrook Road, Ward 4, Chris Moody, Penelope. We will now open public hearing.
I'm here. My name's Michael Newman. I'm sorry.
Microphone, please.
Sorry. Good evening, members of council. My name's Michael Newman. I'm with MDV Engineering here representing Shak Patel, who is the developer tonight. We are seeking to get annexation on this 5.2 acres for basically, he's going to do some commercial development. There aren't any specific uses known at this time as far as, committed leases or anything like that, but we've gone ahead and gone and shown some uses to attempt to go ahead, and Penelope will get into it, with her presentations for doing the traffic impact analysis and try to do realistic and accurate, uses there, so it could be an accurate representation of the traffic that potentially would be generated by the development. And this is Ashok Patel, who is the developer, and with that, that's all I have.
Board and council members. I'm the
Thank you.
developer, just in case if you have any questions, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, close public hearing, sorry. I was reading.
That's okay. As we stated, this is an ordinance to annex the tax map number 73800000063 and a portion of 73800000062. It's approximately 5.25 acres located at the intersection of Fort Mill Highway and Holbrook Road. Currently, it's in York County, and they have RMX 10 zoning classification. they would like to rezone it to highway commercial. The other parcels that are in the town limits are zone highway commercial, so staff made the recommendation when Mr. Patel to designate this to the highway commercial. As any new annexation or rezoning requests, the town has an ordinance that they adopted back in 2019 that you have to see if a traffic impact analysis is needed. And this project, based on the rough estimate of what they would like to do with the 5 acres for commercial, it did trigger a transportation impact analysis. And so with this, when they proposed with this TIA, it was approximately 8,760 square feet of a shopping strip retail plaza, 7,200 square feet for high turnover sit-down restaurant, and a 7,500 square feet restaurant with drive-through. What Mr. Patel and Mr. Newman has stated is correct. They don't have an actual user, but when we're doing a project like this, they wanted to give the most intense uses to make sure, since the TIA was required. And so that was the analysis with the site plan with access location. SCDOT reviews it, York County, Town of Fort Mill, and the applicant. So everything was approved, the TIA, completed and approved. And then the next formality is a transportation mitigation agreement, which both parties, the town and Mr. Patel, have agreed, and that was attached with your packet. It is contiguous to the town limits, and it is eligible for annexation. We went to the Planning Commission on Tuesday, September 19th, and they made a recommendation to approve the annexation request by a vote of 4-2. One Planning Commission member was absent.
Can we start asking questions now?
Oh, sure.
Because I got a few.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so starting on in our packet, I don't know, I'm looking at iPad, you're looking at agenda,
I don't have
but,
it, yeah.
Hold on, let me get back to where was that, sorry. On 3.1, the study area, this is on the TIA, for Holbrook and Hare Road, the ADTs were not available. Do we know why?
3
In the
point.
chart, where it says, it says 2022.
Page 23.
Yeah, page 23, ADT, and it has Fort Mill Park, the last 2 roads just have it not available, and those were Holbrook Road and Hare Road. And I didn't know what those trip counts would, I mean, I know Hare's probably minimal, but I just didn't know why those might not have any.
This was under table 3.1?
Yes,
Table
study area.
3.1.
Mm-hmm.
Holbrook Road, let me look at the scoping area, excuse me, because I do not know why they were not available at that time. Let me see if there was anything. That's a good question. Let me,
You can get back with me on
yeah,
that
let me
if you
get
need
back
to.
with you on that, but ask me at the second question and see.
So on 6.2, let me get there on this iPad. Where it says Fort
Oh,
Mill.
I'm sorry, I think I figured it.
Okay, go back. We'll go
So
back.
these are just study areas. I mean, this TIA was done this year. I guess they were just looking, this is like a table just showing what they've had, that average daily trips that
Right.
happens. And at that time, but it's still, I mean, based on if you further, there was, the certain intersections were studied where you see the level of services collected.
Yeah, so on 6.2, this Fort Mill Parkway and South Obies, everything there from existing LOS are all C's and D's there.
Mm-hmm.
It gets a little better going up the Parkway, the Holbrook Road, and North Obies. I mean, but you're still at a C. Do we anticipate after a 2028 build out of a C that number or letter grade becoming even worse than a C in the future? Is there a way for us to know how bad it could get? I know we're not Back to the Future here. There's no telling what else can develop. But
based on this analysis, they look at what has been built, what was being proposed to be built, and then when this will be actually opened for business, it would be 2028. So these projections where you have, I mean, the blue letters, and then you
Yes.
have the red letters. I mean, yes, there's mitigation improvements that they are doing specifically for their access to, where access to is across the street as well at the North Dobies commercial, that this owner is also, he is a potential owner on the other side of the commercial development. So there will be mitigation improvements, but it's already bad, like specifically for like the Hare intersection, there was nothing that the applicant could do because it's already bad. And so the mitigation is what, based on what his development's gonna do, he is providing a longer internal protected stem on that access to, as you can tell, from that access to, and then also access 1, that is based on the level of services, how they've decreased. He has agreed to mitigate.
So where would that, can we look at that on the screen? So, I mean, when, what he's talking about there, is that in, can we just throw that up there so we could all see it?
Yeah.
For the good of the whole, as the mayor would say if she was here.
So Penelope, while Chris looking for that, this is this is a node, so it has the overlay with the wide sidewalks and all that to make it more pedestrian friendly.
And it's in their mitigation agreement about the 8-foot sidewalks.
Yeah, I saw that in there. This is this whole piece of property. And where does the node end at?
I mean, he's right there. It's that near that intersection.
I know, but is it end at Hare Road, or so this whole? You're saying this whole thing would be in? It's part of that, but
his frontage of his property would have the follow the rules of the overlay district, would have the 8-foot. But yeah, if you go to the.
So what page are you on? Because we can't see the page from here.
Keep it. Wait, sorry. There. Okay. So all
Penelope, what
the.
page is that, so we can see here? You can see up on top.
Page 75.
Thank you.
we don't have
So all of the blue
don't have
is
75 pages.
background improvements that other developers are responsible for. So they take that from all the other TIAs that we've done with commercial or annexations, and then based on his impact that will happen by 2028, the stuff in red is what he has agreed to mitigate. And that was part of the traffic impact analysis. With the level of service, he needed to do some improvements. But the level of services that he has, that he's doing the improvements, it all follows the guidelines of what we have. It's not, the question is, it could go F, but that's not based on his development. It's not going to trigger it. It depends on other issues at a later date if we do another rezoning or another annexation.
And that's academically understand what you're saying. My concern is we have a lot to digest already right there. We have, the Elizabeth properties going. There was a big, that section of road up to Dobies Bridge is up for debate on Penny's 5 because of traffic studies. We have some discussion going on around the, can't remember the Crossroads properties right there. It's just a very active area, things that we don't know. And I totally understand that that developer can't fix all our problems. But if you look on, one of the things I asked about about being in a node, and one of the ideas, grocery store is a good example, where people don't have to drive across town. We want to make it more pedestrian friendly, bike friendly, and all that. But according to table 8.3, the bicycles operations, there's E's and D's. No, there are D's, E's, and F's. I think even with, I guess if there's any mitigation for that. So we're kind of counterproductive as a node, making that where you kind of live in the area, you can shop locally, you can walk, you can ride your bike, and all the other stuff. We'll just continue to pile more traffic on that road. I'm not sure that's what we're trying to do. So
can you walk through this Greek of what is on this chart to me, because I've looked at it for hours and I see numbers and I see percentages. And can you just walk me through what
I'll try
is going
again
on
because
here?
I'm not a traffic engineer.
I know,
either,
but I need to understand it before
but
I can
based
make
on,
a decision on
so
it.
like how you mentioned crossroads, like the original crossroads, some of their mitigation is in blue. So some of the projects that their impact, their development will impact this area, that is all in blue. That is what we have from previous transportation mitigation agreements, that they're responsible to improve the flow of this area with the intersections. Now, this TIA for the party, Mr. Patel, he is responsible for the red. And everything in red are improvements that he has agreed with SCDOT and us that he would make because of his development.
All right.
Now, I know, that's just a picture of one item. Tonight
Right,
it's about
right.
the annexation. Also, is that something that the town, and if the mayor was here, she would have said, is this a benefit for the town? And so that's what I'm here tonight, presenting you the annexation. But he did follow the steps to do the traffic impact analysis. And yes, Mr. Wolf, you are correct. There is that one intersection, it goes to an F. But, there was nothing that Mr. Patel can do because it's already close to an F.
Right, that's why I'm not beating up on him, I'm just like,
Sure.
it's saying, so in the recitals of the Article 1, that's a definition of what his mitigations are.
Are you in the mitigate on the last?
I'm in actually in the document that the recitals, it says telling what the, construct access 1 with a single ingress lane,
Yes,
a single egress
yes.
lane, stop control. So,
And those are what you could see here, or
yeah, I can see the numbers, but it's actually explaining what.
it's 175
Yeah.
feet. So, like here, if you're coming out of, to make a left on the Parkway, where there's no traffic signal, you're not going to be able. You'll be able to make a left, but the people that are coming from the 150-foot maximized to make a left into it, they're going to have a median, so they're going to have to go all the way down before. There's not going to be a curb cut internally real close, and that's what SCDOT wanted for him to have. So that's why there's such a huge 150 stacking for the internal protected stem. And basically an internal protected stem is a median. So on his private property, he has to have 150 foot of a median, so we don't have those crash locations as people are trying to come in and people are trying to come out of a fast food restaurant.
So there's going to be no, I'm not a traffic engineer, there's going to be no cutout straight off of the Parkway into this property, or there is?
Oh, yeah, there is.
I thought, okay.
Yeah, like.
All right, that's what I thought, but when you said that.
Turn, right? Correct.
So you have here, you have a left and a right, and you have a left in. That's an unsignalized access point. But it's aligned with the north property that's already in the town limits and has a driveway cut on the Parkway. Then you have the traffic light at North Joby's Bridge and Holbrook that you can get to his first access point off of Holbrook, which is aligned with the atrium project that's on the other side of the road. So those are his real two access points, is access 1 off of Holbrook Road, and then a full access on the Parkway.
I'll be quiet and let others ask questions for now.
So for clarification, if you're coming from Tom Hall Street and you want to turn left into his property, you don't have to go to the light. There would actually be a curb cut where you
Well,
can
if
get
you're
in.
coming
You
from,
can do it from access 2.
Okay.
yeah. Or if you're coming from like Tom Hall and you're coming Joby's Bridge, you're gonna cross over that traffic light and then go through access 1. Or you can go it just depends on, you can go both ways really, if you're coming from Tom Hall and using North Joby's.
Penelope, not directly related to this, but related to this, on page 22, right across the street, there's a development, commercial development that I think has been, your pages are different than ours, Chris.
Sorry.
Right there, Chris.
Yeah, that drawing, one of the first drawings. So what is that right across the street? Because it looks like there's...
Across the street?
Yeah.
It's Mr. Patel's property that he owns today that's in the town limits. And that is what, and it's zone highway commercial, and that is what when he did the traffic impact analysis for that project, didn't have to come through council because it was already zone highway commercial. That was his site plan that he presented to Kimley Horn.
Because I was looking at you're talking about there's access, they're aligned, and also very similar, that's Dobie's Bridge, and this is Holbrook, because the same way to get into this new one would be off of Holbrook, but I hate to put more traffic on Holbrook Road.
So that's where the current rental home is.
Right
across the street.
Yeah.
Across the street,
Right.
yes, sir.
But that development is obviously not part of this discussion, but that is his property already.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and he has completed and
Yeah, he
done a
has.
TIA. Nothing has been submitted yet for construction documents, but we do have the TIA and a mitigation agreement on the northern property.
So oftentimes when we're looking at annexing or changing zoning, we're comparing what are the options going to be and the consequences of both. We're talking about a pretty significant trip count here. We usually like commercial property because of what our town needs, but we're also going to be talking about a significant increase in trip value versus what is currently zoned. Can you help clarify that a little bit, since that's county zoning and I'm not quite as familiar with it, the RMX 10?
Basically the current one in the county, from my understanding, it's a diverse of housing types at variable moderate densities. Basically minimum area of lot is 10,000 square feet. This zoning is basically applied to principally undeveloped parcels where housing type and density flexibility will complement existing residential neighborhoods, and where public water and sewers are readily available. Obviously, it's not unless you get annexed, but that is what their current zoning is in the county.
So do we have an estimate of how many homes then could be built there the way it's currently zoned?
Well, I mean,
Christie,
since
5 acres.
there's
20 or less.
Yeah.
Less than 20.
Thank you.
yeah, because of utilities.
Yeah.
So 2 restaurants, building A and building B, is that what we're looking at?
That's the most, like, he wanted to say the worst scenario of, like, I shouldn't say worst scenario, but the most
Yes,
intense
exactly.
Most trip
scenario.
counts, yeah.
Which we appreciate, because
Most
there's
people do the
no
opposite.
doubt there. It's only going to get better from here, right? Okay.
Most people say it's going to be a lawyer's office or a tax office, and it turns out to be a restaurant.
And
So, thank you.
And just to have some commentary from the PC, it was split. It was 4-2, and one of the things was they didn't believe that he would be able to do all that on 5 acres when you have to do with buffers and sidewalks and we tried to explain to them. So, don't get stuck on that number of the square footage of the buildings and everything, because that was just something for Mr. Patel not to come back and spend more money amending the TIA. And oftentimes that is what happens.
No, we appreciate it, and that TIA is an investment that you make up front, so we certainly appreciate that.
I'm all for that being a node and knowing what our 20-year plan is. I would much prefer commercial as to more residential. Obviously, there's a lot of homes over there, and the more they can shop and eat and get groceries and everything else in their neighborhood, that's 1 less trip. That's 2 less trips across town to go to Chick-fil-A or wherever you're going to go. My concern is the condition of the road already, and this is a much bigger concern than Mr. Patel. And like I said, I think it's obviously trying to be straightforward. I think saying it's a restaurant, that's great, because if it's not a restaurant, that's better. But that road is already, we're talking about, that's a penny. Hopefully it'll be a pennies project before I'm dead and gone, but that's many years away if it is. And it's already, Elizabeth to me is, as I said, there's a lot to digest over there already. That really there's already underway. And I'm just worried about the traffic. Putting more traffic on an already congested road is just not a good idea unless we have a solution. And it's not his role to fix that. So it's kind of a slippery slope.
I've seen as well, I know what a conceptual drawing is compared to this, that where a restaurant has been tossed about on the other side of the street. Is that, I have an issue if you're packing two possible ones on one side. I mean, what has changed? I see you've got three one-story buildings across the street. Do we have any plans or for any of that, or any ideas?
Not yet.
Okay.
So Penelope, when we're talking about the TIA, just clarification, it was considered using the Harris Teeter property, the trip count that they have was taken into consideration with this. Would Elizabeth been taken into consideration? Or is that too far away?
It's outside the scope.
They have Arden Mills and
There's a
Crossroads.
list on that page.
Right.
I wish I could find it.
Page
That's
16 of the
It's
TIA.
on
Yeah,
page.
so you got
yeah.
Arden Mill, Catawba Ridge High School, Crossroads Development, Harris Teeter Center, and then the northern, project that North Dobie's commercial.
Is that his? Is that, okay, that's why I wasn't sure what note, that's when I saw that, yeah.
I think we get hit a lot about traffic, and we are definitely not in the road business, but it's our part to do what is prudent and what is smart, to try to reduce that congestion and things. But that's a deep concern of mine too, is the things we've basically made a crystal ball prediction on an area that's already bad. We're going to go from bad to worse, which I don't think is really a wise thing to do.
I think the hard part for me is if we knew Penny's 5 was approved or this part of it was going to be part of a project to be able to fix, it'd probably change the way I'm leaning. It's not, again, that I'm against commercial at all. Live on this side. There's some things that you can go on Facebook and see all the retail establishments they'd love to see on this side of town. But I think the traffic side of it and the roads the way they are, without us having a true fix with the Penny's approval, I think is kind of where I'm leaning towards, being the hard part of this decision. Sometimes we have to make decisions and there's no obvious yes or no. It's what's best given the situation. None of it's perfect. So,
And even if Penny's was approved, say it is approved, and we're probably, 8-10 years out
Yeah.
from even
10,
having that finished. So it's not going to be a thing where, okay, if that gets approved in 2 years, this will be done, we build out about the same time, and then it's fine, we got plenty of traffic flow. That's not going to happen.
yeah, I agree.
If that part of the parkway does get approved for Penny's 5, is that right? Where does it stop at? Holbrook, or does it go Dobies?
Holbrook.
So it goes to that intersection.
I did have a conversation today with a resident of Hare Road, and her concern was the additional traffic that might spill over onto Hare Road, trying to come back over to Dobies as well. It's already gotten pretty bad as it is now with what's already there, plus people trying to get back over to Dobies. So she voiced a lot of concern about any additional traffic coming that direction as well. So I just want to put that out there for the record.
Have we received any feedback through our annexation notification from constituents in the area? No. Okay, thank you.
Well, it's a great location for business, else there's too many great locations for business right there. But I do think, that is a no, that is the idea, have commercial property right there. It's higher density in that area, those plans, it's just, there's too many unknowns at this time.
And the future land use map from the comprehensive plan has it as the neighborhood mixed use, with having, the residential commercial component there. That's on the plan.
Yeah, had the entities that built the bypass originally been able to make it the 4 or 5 lanes that we really wanted, we'd be in a different discussion right now. So. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to defer until Mayor Savage could come back to our second meeting in November. We have some other things on the plate.
Second meeting in October or November?
November. Can we do that or not?
Oh, sure.
Yes. And then once the mayor's back, we can have some further discussions at that time.
So are we having 2 meetings in November? You're talking about the 27th?
Thanksgiving is.
So you
our
want it
normal
on the
meeting.
27th, not on November
Right,
10th?
not the
Or
10th.
13th, excuse me, 13th.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think the logic is hopefully we'll have some other things settled by then and we'll know better.
More clarification, yeah.
More clarification, I think is what.
Need more time to digest this. And
Yeah, I
make
spent
an
like 3
educated-
hours on that traffic
and-
impact thing today, and I could spend 3 more hours in it.
And to be
also.
fair to the applicant, I want to have more time to research as well. So.
And just also know that if anything changes, like these previous developments that were studied, if they don't go through, then, you know, what the previous developments were mitigating, Mr. Patel would have to amend, do an addendum by taking out, I'll use example, if Crossroads goes away, then Mr. Patel, it's in the document, he would have to amend the TIA, because right now Crossroads already has mitigation for improvements on Fort Mill Parkway. So keep that in mind as well.
Okay. Yeah, and thank you for clarifying what the blue and what the red was, because that's why I couldn't quite figure out what they were. So.
Yeah.
So I think we have a motion.
To defer.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
New business item number 3, 2023 Fort Mill Fall Festival. A resolution designating Walter Elisha Park, 345 North White Street on Saturday, October the 21st, 2023, 3 p.m. until 7 p.m. as a site of public event in which alcoholic beverage may be sold, possessed, and consumed, and to authorize a special event permit to live music and sound amplifying equipment on Saturday, October the 21st, 2023, 3 p.m. until 7 p.m. at Walter Elisha Park, 345 North White Street.
Okay. So yes, we are seeking the resolution from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Hobos and Amore Artists and the Fort Mill History Museum, they will all be managing that for this event. And they cut off alcohol sales 30 minutes prior to the event ending.
Chicana, how do they determine, I know it's kind of a guess on how big the turnout will be, but I know the last couple, there wasn't a big long line to get tickets or whatever, and in some of the bigger events, they really need more stations for probably tickets and banding and all that. How do they figure out, do we give them a best guess of the attendance numbers, or?
Yeah,
it's kind of outside this thing, but it's kind of related to it.
Yeah, and they judge it maybe like on like we did last year, how big the event was. But it also depends on, the History Museum, how many volunteers they've got working, how many stations they can actually create for people to get their ID tickets and everything.
Because I know the Strawberry Festival, which is a whole different discussion, but I was working on that, and there's a line all the way across the field the whole day, and so really should have had 3 different places. But I was just curious. So I'll make a motion to approve new business item number 3, though. I think
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Thank you.
Colin. Moving on, information discussion. There is no information discussion items. Executive session. There are no executive session items. Start on my left. Chris, good at all?
So I would like to congratulate and thanks the event staff and the Public Works and all the other departments involved in the fall events discussed tonight. The Scarecrow Crawl is wildly popular and gives residents and guests a great opportunity to visit our downtown corridor, not just Main Street, our downtown corridor, and experience the heart of Fort Mill. The Fall Festival, the Christmas Village, the tree lighting, and the Christmas parade are all very special events that allow our families to make memories for their children. Kind of on the other part of our meeting tonight, I've been traveling a good bit recently and transversing through Atlanta a lot. When we discuss growth, I'll say smart growth in Fort Mill, I think of how unbridled growth can negatively impact a community and destroy the very reason that people want to live there. 30 or 40 years of sprawl in Atlanta has made it an area that nobody wants to travel through. Very few people want to live there, and many natives are leaving. And I think we need to keep that in mind as we look on their new developments, and we as a council and a staff need to make sure we don't allow similar issues to happen at Fort Mill. Fort Mill's a special place, and we need to make sure we do all we can to keep it that way.
Well said. Chris?
Glad that it's fall coming up. Really looking forward to all the events that staff has planned. I had our first fire pit last night in my yard, and I was not paying attention. Just kept throwing wood on this solo stove, and I was like, what's that smell? And I had melted the bottom of my shoes and didn't realize it when I was surfing my phone. I started smelling rubber burning, so I got to pay a little better attention to that. But in all seriousness, it's good to be here. I'm glad that we're able to serve our town. I mean, Chris, speaking of growth, you know, it can always, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, we have a great school district here that brings a lot of people here. Not everybody else in South Carolina has the luxuries we have, and that's something I always like to hammer home at the same time. So that's about all I've got. So,
Lisa?
Sure, a few things. We talked about the Fall Festival going on and talked about long lines. You can help those long lines by volunteering for the History Museum to help serve, help check IDs, help take tickets. It's a lot of fun. It's a great way to get to meet a lot of people. History Museum also has their Lanterns and Legends tours going on where you walk around downtown and hear some of the cool legends. Every time I go, I learn something new about the community. It's a lot of fun. It's some really cool stories for sure. The Flower Bar on Main Street recently rebranded to the Sports Pub on Main. So if you've been in there in the past, go back and check it out because it's changed up a little bit. A few more TVs, so we were watching a lot of them over the weekend. On Saturday afternoon I was there. Thankfully my Gamecocks didn't lose this time, so didn't play but didn't lose. Wanted to thank Sisk Memorial Baptist Church for inviting and acknowledging our first responders in the community during service yesterday. It was a really touching service. Thank you, Alan. I know that's your home church, and appreciate you inviting everyone out there. It was beautifully decorated, and there's nothing like the stained glass window with the cross there and the American flag draped over it to really make you appreciate where you live, especially when you see the news going on. And then we do have another time change on November 5th, so keep in mind that's coming again soon. So thank you. That's all for me.
Just like what everybody said before, you know, about the scarecrows and everything going on, you know, it's I look at it like a modern Norman Rockwell painting. You know, this is we have a beautiful town, and let's try to keep it that way. I do want to say that this is the last recorded meeting before the election in November, so you know, please get out and vote. It's not it's just a local election, but you know, if you don't vote, you can't complain. But like I said, just watch out for everybody out looking at scarecrows, and even if they're stepping out in the road trying to take a picture of it, you know, so just look out for everybody. Thank you.
First, I don't have the plague. It's just a precautionary for my fellow council members up here. One of the main things that I think about is this time of year in the fall when the leaves are coming down, don't put your leaves in the street.
Amen.
It's dangerous for motorcyclists, bicyclists, and they stop up drains. So it gets counterintuitive. Everybody thinks they have to shift their leaves out on the street. You don't have to put your leaves in the street. Put them just off the curb. So
Mina thanks you for that.
Yes. So that's my big plug that often gets forgotten about this time of year. So.
Well, this time of the year is when I get to pick black walnuts up out of my yard.
Yes.
I've got a 48-inch black walnut tree in my backyard. So.
Well, don't put them in the street and don't push them down the drain.
I don't. But I appreciate everything staff's doing. Appreciate all the work, especially what you're talking about putting the scarecrow poles and stuff up. Everything's looking great. I ride through at night and think people's on the street.
I did do a double check one time, yes. A little scary.
With nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to...
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Hit it hard.